She gave an interview to Bloomberg. I know you're aware of this, Emily 90s supermodels, because these modern day influencers are painful. But I will say, accelerated her death, in my view. Why would she go on with Oprah and try to say she's the royal?
Listen, Megyn Kelly didn't just comment on Meghan Markle's humiliation, she turned it into a whole thing. Word around Hollywood was that when Megyn showed up at Emma Grede's vegan dinner in LA, totally uninvited, unneeded, and honestly unnoticed, Megyn Kelly had just 2 words for her: stay. And that was Megyn being nice. Because by the time photos started circling of Megyn standing there, clutching her own wine glass like the world's loneliest influencer while everyone else turned the other way, Kelly couldn't help but laugh. She reportedly joked that Megyn finally got a taste of what it feels like to be the least interesting person in Hollywood.
Meghan Markle has been dragged through headlines before, but nothing has set her off quite like this.
And that's where everything started to unravel. What was supposed to be Megyn's big I'm back moment, her relevance revival turned into a total social meltdown. And trust me, it only got messier from there. Picture this: Meghan Markle getting ready for what she thought would be her grand re-entry into LA's elite scene. Her team made sure her wine bottles, her brand, were front and center. She rehearsed her charm, her talking points, her little empowerment one-liners. Everything was timed down to the second, which hand to wave, which glass to hold, even the tilt for the perfect camera shot.
With the Netflix docu-series, which I think is going to be 6 episodes long, and
this was supposed to be her moment. The soft power comeback, the outfit chosen weeks in advance, the stories rehearsed, every single detail calculated, and yet nobody cared. The energy was off the moment. She walked in. You know that feeling when you show up at a party and realize you shouldn't have? That's what people said it felt like. Guests were chatting in tight circles, politely ignoring her polished PR smiles. She'd drift near one group, laugh a little too loud at someone else's joke, but it didn't matter.
Now listen, Megyn Kelly didn't just comment on Meghan Markle's humiliation, she practically turned it into an art form.
Nothing. No one flinched, no one turned. Cameras that once orbited her, every move didn't even flicker her way. The photographers? Busy catching Emma Grede mid-laugh with actual A-listers getting the shots that mattered. Megyn stood there, holding her own brand of wine, pretending to enjoy it, eyes flicking to her phone every few minutes, probably waiting for her publicist to text an escape plan.
Here's where it all begins, with a mystery no one wants to say out loud. Meghan Markle's life looks like a billionaire's dream.
But leaving early would have looked even worse, so she stayed, smiling, waiting, hoping someone, anyone would notice. And then it happened, the moment that shattered the illusion. Emma Grede, the host, cut Megyn off mid-sentence. Megyn had been trying to join in on a conversation about women in business, her favorite topic, her comfort zone. She was warming up to one of her prepped speeches about empowerment, and Emma just smoothly changed the topic, like Megyn hadn't even spoken. Nobody flinched, nobody apologized, just a clean pivot, a silent message that screamed, "You don't belong here," and Megyn's face froze. That slow blink she does when reality hits, the polite smile stretched so tight it could crack. Her jaw stiff, eyes glassy. Insiders said you could see her grip the wine glass harder, deciding whether to fight back or let it go. She let it go. What could she do? She spent years trying to prove she belongs in rooms like that, the elite rooms, the influencer tables, the I'm still relevant gatherings. And in that moment, Emma reminded everyone who actually belonged. Emma wasn't performing. She didn't need validation. She didn't need a press release to justify her presence. She was wanted there. She'd built empires, created jobs, shown up with real value. Meanwhile, Megyn, no matter how much charm she rehearsed, still came off as someone trying too hard to convince everyone she belonged. And that was the real power move. Emma didn't need Megyn's approval. She didn't need to explain or warn her. She saw an opportunity and took it clean, professional, no drama. While Megyn built her brand on rebellion and breaking free from the royals, Emma quietly walked through the front door of royal influence and owned it. It's the irony everyone noticed. Megyn's entire narrative was about how the royal system was toxic and outdated. But here was Emma, effortlessly proving you could align with tradition and still thrive. The subtext couldn't have been louder. You don't need to burn the palace down to be powerful. You can just walk in if you've earned it. And for Megyn, that had to hurt. Emma wasn't just succeeding, she was succeeding within the very world Megyn had tried to destroy. It was like watching someone else win your game with your old playbook. Their friendship? Over. Completely. The supportive sisterhood posts vanished. No more likes, no more joint appearances. The silence said it all. And as Meghan's public image crumbled, Emma's star just kept rising. Partnerships thriving, companies booming, reputation spotless. Meghan sold empowerment. Emma embodied it. By then, even Hollywood was whispering, Meghan sells the idea of power. Emma creates it. Meghan talks legacy. Emma builds one. After that humiliating dinner, Meghan did what she always does, pivot to the next PR move. You could practically see the wheels turning behind that perfect smile. If social circles weren't giving her attention, she'd get it somewhere else. Cue the Fortune Women's Conference. A room full of polished professionals politely waiting for another lift each other up speech, and Meghan delivered exactly that. Polished, emotional. Every buzzword hit on cue: empowerment, sisterhood, healing, authenticity. On paper, flawless. But here's what people in that room whispered afterward. It felt hollow. Because when you know someone's reputation, the speeches start to sound like scripts. Behind those words, the whispers in Hollywood were getting louder. Working with Meghan wasn't always the fairy tale she sold. Former team members stayed quiet in public, but behind closed doors, stories circulated. Intense, controlling, constantly shifting expectations. You never knew where you stood. In LA, that kind of talk spreads faster than wildfire. One producer joked, "You can always tell when someone's worked with her, they come back looking tired." And that's the thing, the same people she preaches empowerment to, some didn't want to work with her again. So when she stood there talking about lifting women up, you could practically feel the disconnect in the room. Because empowerment only works if people actually feel empowered by you. Hollywood's small. People remember how you treat assistants, interns, stylists. Emma Grede, people love working with her. They talk about mentorship, opportunity, shared success. Meghan, more about management. And that difference started showing everywhere. When Emma gives a talk, people walk away inspired and employed. When Meghan gives one, people clap politely and talk afterward about how rehearsed it all sounded. And here's where it gets even messier. Meghan's Motherhood brand, that golden pillar of her image, started cracking too. Every public appearance sprinkled with talk of Archie, Lilibet, balancing motherhood and work. But insiders began asking, where are the kids? Because for someone who constantly talks about protecting her children and being a devoted mom, she sure spends a lot of time at events, panels, and red carpets. Sources close to her said she markets motherhood better than she practices it. Ouch. That's Hollywood's polite way of saying it's a brand, not a lifestyle. The kids? Always protected, yes, but also strangely absent. The reality behind the Instagram perfect story doesn't quite match the glossy words. Meanwhile, Emma, also a mother, manages her empire without turning it into a hashtag. No mompreneur slogans, no teary interviews. She just does it, and that difference didn't go unnoticed. Meghan sells motherhood as part of her image. Emma just lives it, quietly, gracefully, authentically. People started realizing authenticity can't be photoshopped. You can't filter sincerity. You either live it or you don't. Meghan's version felt packaged, calculated, almost rehearsed, and Hollywood was beginning to see through it. Then there's Harry. While Meghan was out trying to reclaim her spotlight at every dinner and conference she could squeeze into a week, he was home in Montecito scrolling through the photos from Emma's dinner. And his reaction? Not anger, not embarrassment, relief. Sources close to the couple whispered, that night, for the first time, he didn't feel like the one cleaning up after her. He just sighed like someone finally realizing the show might be over. People who know them say the marriage now feels more like a business partnership, two brands living under the same roof. They share projects, photo ops, and strategic appearances, but the warmth? Gone. Harry's reportedly obsessed these days with his image, hair loss treatments, workouts, mirror checks. One insider even said they act more like co-workers who share a mortgage than a couple who share love. That's the Hollywood translation of we're done, but not publicly yet. He left the royal performance for another kind of stage. Same pressure, different lighting. Instead of royal duties, now it's brand meetings, Netflix, calls, and podcast pitches. And deep down, people say he knows it. The fairy tale turned into a PowerPoint. So, when that dinner disaster happened, when Meghan's mask slipped and the room turned cold, Harry didn't rush to defend her. For once, he just watched. And people close to him said, it was almost peaceful. Like maybe the illusion finally broke, not just for the public, but for him too. Now, Meghan's favorite storyline has always been the healing narrative. Every interview, every quote, we needed peace, we needed space, we're healing. But look at the timeline. Healing? Wow. Signing multi-million-dollar Netflix and Spotify deals? Healing? While producing a documentary dragging the royal family through the mud? Healing doesn't come with PR contracts and global streaming rights. That's not therapy, that's content. Every time her relevance dips, a new reinvention pops. Victim of the palace, voice for women, entrepreneur, mother, wellness advocate. It's like watching a carousel of brand identities, always spinning, never stopping. Each era perfectly timed to match the next product launch or interview special. And people notice. The public's not dumb, real. Healing happens privately. It doesn't trend on Instagram. It doesn't come with brand tie-ins and perfectly worded captions about growth. So now even fans are starting to ask, what's real and what's marketing? Then came the next shift, the one that truly sealed her Hollywood fate. Invitations started to dry up. The same event organizers who once begged her team to RSVP started quietly leaving her name off lists. Guest rosters were revised. Dinners she used to headline now happening without her. Her calendar suddenly empty. Meanwhile, Emma Grede booked solid. Invitations, deals, partnerships. The same circles Meghan once chased were now chasing Emma instead. And Meghan felt it. You could tell. Her Instagram posts became more frequent, captions more emotional, the tone more desperate. Every photo screamed still relevant, but engagement dropped. Fewer likes, fewer comments. Even her PR team couldn't hide the fatigue anymore. Industry insiders started whispering, she's trying too hard. And in LA, that's the kiss of death. The golden rule here is never look like you're trying. The moment people sense desperation, you're done. Because you can't force relevance. You can't market authenticity. You can't pitch belonging. Either people want you in the room or they don't. And Meghan's rooms were getting quieter by the week. Emma didn't have to hustle for invitations. People wanted her there. She brought value, not vanity. Real conversations, real opportunities, not just another performance disguised as empowerment. Which brings us full circle, back to that dinner. Meghan, standing there under soft golden lights, swirling her wine, smile stretched too wide, conversations drifting away. Cameras focusing elsewhere, Emma laughing with people who actually matter. And for the first time, Meghan wasn't performing, she was watching. And across that room, she saw everything she'd wanted to be. A woman respected without titles, powerful without PR, embraced without begging for attention. And that realization hurt. Because it wasn't about Meghan versus Emma anymore. It was about authenticity versus performance and performance lost. The room had moved on, the industry had moved on, the audience had moved on. Her brand, once built on rebellion and victimhood, was now just noise in the background. And as one Hollywood insider put it, perfectly, every queen eventually meets the woman who reminds her she was never royal to begin with. So when Megyn Kelly laughed and said, "Stay home if you're not invited," maybe it wasn't cruelty. Maybe it was truth. Because in the kingdom of relevance, Meghan Markle's seat at the table has been cleared, and the world's already pouring another glass for Emma Grede. And that's Hollywood for you. One dinner, one headline, one moment, and the crown slips forever. So there you have it. One dinner that exposed everything, the difference between performing relevance and actually having it, between selling empowerment and living it, between building a brand and building a legacy. If you found this breakdown as wild as we did, smash that like button, subscribe for more behind-the-scenes Hollywood chaos, and don't forget to turn on notifications because trust me, there's always more drama waiting just behind the perfect smile.